In today's video, we are going to be talking about the 5 biggest mistakes that people make in video editing. Mistake number 1, poor planning. Planning is everything. Believe it or not, even with editing, you have to know what you're doing before you load your footage onto your hard drives, onto your computer. You have to understand how your video is going to look like. I'll give you a few examples. I was shooting a cooking video for a client of mine. He's actually the chef for the White House. And when I was filming with him, I really didn't know how this video was going to turn out. So I had to really struggle with the editing when I was editing the video. How was I going to make my seamless transitions? How was the color going to change throughout the video? I mean, I really didn't think about this during my filming process. I'm telling you right now, it can really slow you down with your videos if you don't do any pre-production planning. Now, for those of you who are vloggers, honestly, you should also still be thinking about how your video is going to be looking like before or during your filming process. You really need to think about transitions, lighting, color, mood, tone, even when it comes down to who's going to be in your video. Believe it or not, it's going to save you so much time in editing. Now, let's say you have an editor. It even helps your editor understand how your video is supposed to look like if they get notes from you on how this video is supposed to look. So it all comes down to planning. Planning and pre-production are just such crucial elements, guys, and I made major mistakes by not doing that in a lot of my videos. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, using the wrong music. Have you ever seen a video and you were thinking to yourself, wow, this is really amateur? Well, a lot of the times, believe it or not, it's the music. Some people just don't understand that tone comes a lot from the music, and music can set the pace of the editing throughout your video. It can set the mood, character, tone, as I mentioned earlier. So for example, if you put happy music behind a dramatic shot, or if you put dramatic or sad music behind an action sequence, you are not going to get the effect that you want. So when it comes down to editing, choosing the right music is extremely important. I've actually spent 5 to 6 hours looking for music for a 1-minute Instagram video for a client. I know, it takes a long time. Mistake number 3, a jump cut. For example, this is what a jump cut is going to look like. I took a scene and I cut it up, I made a hard cut, and somehow I mysteriously ended up on another part of the frame. That's one way of doing a jump cut. And now I'm back to the center. So this whole video is full of jump cuts. No, but jump cuts aren't all that bad if you know how to use it. It can actually make your videos stand out, or it can make them look a lot more amateur. Just make sure you use jump cuts that help tell your story, that help make your message more powerful in your videos. A lot of vlogs have jump cuts and they're not necessarily bad. Some people like it, especially because it makes it look more raw. Sometimes it's better to use jump cuts instead of crossfade transitions. Crossfade transitions can make your videos slower, but it can also make your videos look more aesthetically pleasing. So if you don't know whether or not your video needs a jump cut or doesn't need a jump cut, it's a good idea to ask a friend or a family member to look over your video and give you their honest opinion. Trust me, this is very important. Have your friends look over your videos if you don't know whether or not to use a jump cut. And this leads us into mistake number 4. Overusing transitions. Now, I mentioned in mistake number 3, crossfades. If you use too many crossfades, it can definitely slow down your video and make it seem boring. And in some cases, your crossfades can make your videos seem tacky and just outdated. So when you are editing your video, make sure that your transitions are basically seamless. And if they aren't seamless, make sure they add to your story, add to your message, to your tone, to your character. It's important to keep these transitions seamless if possible in order for you to have a more powerful video. I know a lot of corporate companies like to have crossfade transitions, but don't overdo it. And I'm going to say this again, you need to plan out how your video is going to look like before you start editing. and sometimes before you even start filming, but that depends on the project. A great tool for helping you with your pre-production planning is creating storyboards. It not only helps you out during the filming process, but also in the editing process. And storyboards are basic outlines, visual outlines on how your scenes and shots are going to look like. Mistake number 5, and probably the biggest mistake that I see in a lot of amateur videos, and that is staying on one angle for too long. For example, if I'm just talking to you guys and all you see is me talking to the camera without any overlays or angle changes, the video can be pretty long, drawn out, and just not that interesting, which is why when I shoot these types of videos, I always like to incorporate either multiple angles or just B-roll footage of me working or any other footage relating to the topic that I'm talking about. And when you're filming interviews, you can use multiple cameras or actually just one camera. And I actually did a tutorial for Movavi. You can check out that video and you can see how I was able to create 2 angles by digitally zooming in when filming with only one camera. Remember, it's important that you keep spicing up your videos with different camera angles, with different overlays, and so on. It's important to keep your audience engaged and your viewer retention high. My suggestion is to watch a lot of movies by big directors. One of my favorite directors is Ridley Scott. You'll notice that when he shoots his movies, he's going to use multiple different camera angles, especially during the action sequences. You can have explosions, you can have multiple different things happening in a shot, but if you stay with one camera angle and if the camera angle is static and not moving, believe it or not, your shot will become boring. Keep things engaging by using different camera angles. Camera movement is another great way to keep things alive in your videos. And overlay footage with B-roll. Those are 3 crucial things in spicing up your videos without staying on one camera angle for too long. So those are the top 5 editing mistakes that I see in a lot of videos. And honestly guys, just follow that rule of thumb. Keep rewatching this video if it needs to be drilled into your heads because this is so important. Also, don't forget to check out Movavi Editor Plus. It's a great video editing program and I used it when I was starting out too. There will be a link in the description box below, so make sure you click that link. All right, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.